What is up, folks, and welcome to the BJT Show, where I interview a myriad of guests, such as professional athletes, college athletes, and also business owners, a little bit of everybody. So, I want to introduce my guest, Carl White III. He is the owner of the Movespot app. Carl, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Byron. I appreciate you having me on.
So, you're the owner of the Movespot app, and it's a social networking app. So, tell me how that kind of got started.
Yeah, it's actually a crazy story. So one day I was in Planet Fitness working out. This is when I was still playing football. So I was in there working out, and you already know the workout facilities. They all have all the different machines you can work out on. So I was looking around, and I realized that really wasn't nobody working out. It was people all on their phones, and even if they were on the machine working out, they still were scrolling on their phone or looking at some type of electronic device. So that's when the idea first came to my head. Like, wow, like why not make an app where the main goal is to get people off of their phones and back into real life? So from that night on, I just got on my computer and just started brainstorming. So I basically started a PowerPoint and just started different points. And I didn't even know what the name of the app would be, just starting from square one. So just started coming up with different what ifs of what it could be, and then just went on from there.
Nice. I think that's really cool, especially forming an idea. I think people can take inspiration from so many things. And like you were saying, you were at the gym and you're looking around like, all right, everybody's on their phone. And like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna make an app. Forget it. Screw it. I'm about to make an app. So I think that's really cool for sure.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a rare moment.
I think MoveSpot has had a lot of success, especially, in such a short amount of time or such a short duration. I think the app has over 100 or 500 or so reviews on the App Store, and I think it's like a five-star app on there or a four-star app. So, how do you feel about the success that the app has had overall?
I feel the same way as you. We're still early on. Sometimes people ask me, and I say, "Moose Spot is still in diapers, as in it's still a baby." It's still. I look at it like a real life. I don't have any kids, so I look at like my creations of what I'm doing is like the kids that I'm bringing onto this world. So I just know you can't rush things, and you can't just try to get a moment too fast. So honestly, I'm enjoying the process. And me, I just love creating, man. I could get on MoveSpot and see one user using it, and in my heart, I still feel good because I know it's at least one person benefiting from it. So when you approach it with that mindset, it don't even matter the user count, the reviews, but it's definitely good to see the reaction that people have gotten, just knowing that, as you mentioned, we do have a 5-star rating, and we are getting those reviews from different programs as well now. Just getting that recognition after all the hard work we put in is definitely a great feeling right now. So definitely.
With the technology space and the social media space that's going on, especially, social media, marketing, all these different apps and everything. How do you think MoveSpot sort of fares against other social media apps or social networking
Um,
apps also?
yeah, I would definitely say we can't really put us in a ranking just because we're not offering some of the same things that they're offering. Like for example, any social app I get on, I can get on that app and I can scroll for 5 hours, 6 hours. I won't get not one notification telling me, "Hey, you've been on my platform this long. Go make a move or get back in real life." It's almost like we know that a lot of these tech giants don't care about their users' mental health and well-being. So that's where MoveSpot comes into the picture. We're everything we're doing is like very small compared to these. We're talking about billion-dollar companies. Like it's almost like if we were doing the verses, it would be like David versus Goliath. Just off the resources that we have, the connection that we have. But it's just good to know that we still just have that focus to not worry about the numbers, not worry about who has more users, this, that. Just worry about, are we fulfilling our purpose every day and staying consistent. So yeah, I would definitely say we rank high up there, just knowing that we have partnered with big companies like Microsoft. We have partnered with Google. We just recently partnered with Nvidia a couple weeks ago. So just knowing that these billion-dollar companies even know what Movespot is, even if they aren't personally investing, they're just providing us perks with our servers and things of that nature. It's just good to know that they even know who we are and we're possibly on their list for a possible acquisition in years to come, you know. So just knowing that just allows us to work harder every day.
I think you made a good point about not necessarily worrying about all the numbers and how many reviews or how many viewers or how many this and that. Not necessarily paying too much attention to it. You're paying attention to it, but it's you're not so fixated on it and looking at other social media apps and other social networking apps and getting caught up in comparing yourselves too much. It's just more so like, okay, you focused on what MoveSpot is doing. You're not too worried about what everybody else is doing. You're just focused on, y'all's progress with that.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. Because at the end of the day, the best way to make the most improvement is just stay in your own lane. You know, I always loved the quote that said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." You know, you could have it could be one millionaire. You have all the sports cars, all the yachts. You live across the street. They got three mansions and five boats. Like, are we gonna focus on our life and making it better? Or are we gonna look at what other people doing? And when you realize everybody has their own journey, everybody's in different steps of their journey. Like when you can conceptualize with that, then it's just living in the moment, enjoying the process. No matter even if we were still in the development phase, and I was back in the days telling people like, "Yo, we're going to release an app one day," and people were laughing. You know, even if I was in that phase, just having that same enthusiasm to go to work every day and make something out of nothing. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely a good mentality to have is just, not comparing yourself too much and just grinding and just focusing on what you can control. Can't control, how successful you'll be or, in y'all's case with y'all's app, how successful the app will be, but you all control the effort and the work that you put into improving the app. So
Definitely, yeah. That's control. We can control, just like you said.
you were talking about mental health and how that coincides with other social networking apps. What is MoveSpot doing to sort of improve that conversation of mental health and keep that going?
Yeah, definitely. So as we know, 61% of Gen Z, our generation, has been diagnosed with anxiety, and a big reason behind that is just to the overusage of social media. Excessive social media use leads to increased depression, low self-esteem, and even suicidal thoughts in some cases. So you already know people are on these apps all day comparing how many likes do they have, how many comments when really none of that matters. You know, social media, the whole goal behind it should be just to connect with like-minded people that can help you in whatever you're doing, regardless if I'm verified, they're verified, who they have fans, I don't, whatever the situation is, we're just here to connect. So I feel like that's what MoveSpot is. One thing I can say about our platform is that, I've never really gotten on MoveSpot and just saw negativity consistently. You know, of course, things happen here and there. We don't live in a perfect world, but as you can get on a different social app and find one negative post and then you're in a whole thread of just negativity, like that would never happen on MoveSpot just because of the type of people that the platform is attracting. So it's just great to see something like that going on in today's world.
With you being an entrepreneur and being in that business space, what's something that you've learned?
Something that I've learned is just never stop innovating. Honestly, you might think you got the one idea that's gonna take it to the next level, but it's constant innovation every day. You know, I kind of look at it as like Elon Musk, for example. He with Tesla, they almost went not Tesla, but with SpaceX, they almost went bankrupt on like the fourth time they tried to send the spaceship up to space. So just knowing that it's certain people that are, of course, they might be in big positions now, but they started off, sleeping on this couch, going over this friend's house. You know, just because you're in that phase or might be close to that phase, don't get discouraged with everything you're going through. Just use it as motivation. I feel like that's a big strong suit with me. I realize that when I do go through something or something bad happens, it almost just ignites like a new level in me that I didn't even know existed. So sometimes bad thing used to happen, used to be like, dang, like why this going on? Now it's like, dang, this going on. I know this about to just awaken a whole new level in me and take everything to the next level. So just knowing that is just a blessing.
You also have a sports background as you played running back in high school. And for those who don't know, we were actually teammates at one point at Eagles Landing Christian Academy, and Carl went to Arabia Nine, where he had a really good career there as well. And so, with having a football background, what are some lessons from football that you take into the business world?
Football, I feel like that's the starting ground. You know, as you mentioned, we played together. We was in the mailroom, had the same class together, just having conversations about things we're doing today, like these interviews, your show, my business. We actually spoke a lot of this into existence. So it's just crazy to see. But as you know, football, I feel like without football, neither of us would even be able to do the things we're doing now because, as you know, football teaches you adversity. It could be the fourth quarter, we down 10. Are we going to give up, throw in the towel, or are we going to throw this Hail Mary? You know, so it's like being able to see that firsthand, you can definitely apply that to business. Also, patience. You know, with me playing running back, sometimes you have to get the ball. You have to observe, oh, this block just opened up. Now I can hit the hole. I can't just go immediately in and try to do it. So I would definitely say adversity, patience, and also willpower. You know, it's many games where you already know how it comes. Playoff times, you feel banged up, ankle hurting, shoulder hurting. You still, everybody out there banged up. You still got to get out there and give it your all, you know. So just when things like that going on, and then you coming from that, then you into business, it's almost like a cakewalk. Like honestly, like just coming from the football mentality and everything we have to deal with, even just being coached as well. In business, you have to realize these might be our companies, but sometimes there's going to be situations where we're not the only one making the call. You know, that's like if Movespot gets a big investment and a person has a portion in the company, now is I'm not the only one who can have say so in things. So just knowing how to be coached, knowing how to take advice, things like that. So definitely, I would say football was definitely the forefront of everything that's happening now. Without football, I wouldn't be the entrepreneur or the man that I am today at all. So I will always appreciate the sport.
What would your advice be to someone who wants to be an entrepreneur and a business owner?
My advice would be take the first step. You know, sometimes you can't see the whole staircase. Sometimes you have to take that first step for the next step to appear. And it's crazy. And it's crazy to say that because it's a lot of people who won't even take that. If you never take that first step, you'll never ever see the second step. Like even what we're doing today of Movespot. We just did 3 accelerator programs last year. If you told me that's what we had to do when we first started, I wouldn't have believed it or wouldn't have even known that this was the route to get to that next level to get the investments that we're looking for and get the users that we're looking for. But just taking those first steps when only I could see it myself, only I could believe it, having that faith in myself is what got us to this point. So that's what I would say. Just take that first step and just believe in yourself. It doesn't matter what people around you are saying all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a good point for sure. And you talk about, being successful and grinding and, taking that first step. And so with all those things and taking that mentality with you into the business world, I understand that you've also had some accomplishments in the business world too, and even some awards to go along with that. So can you speak about those?
Yeah, definitely. Last year we did the HBCU pitch competition out in Alabama. So that was it's crazy because we did win $5,000. It was a 5 minute pitch competition. So basically, it was a handful of businesses that got a chance, around 10 to 11 businesses, got a chance to get on stage and pitch our venture for 5 minutes. And we actually ended up winning the competition. And that was my first time ever, just not first time pitching, but my first time on stage, in front of a crowd. And so it was just great to see that reaction, hear the applause and actually know that, okay, public speaking is also a gift that I have too. So I don't want to just solely focus on creating all the time. I want to be able to get out in front of crowds now more too. And since then, I just recently pitched with Amazon and Nvidia back in November, right before Thanksgiving, and also had a demo day for my accelerator program, Access Mode. So you already know how it's kind of just like football. When you score that first touchdown, it's just you get that adrenaline rush and just feel like, whoa, like, okay, I can do this now. But now it's like, okay, now that I can do this, how can I do this better? How can I perfect my craft? So that's kind of what I'm focusing on now, just being able to be more comfortable up there and convey my message better as well.
Absolutely. I think that's really cool, and I commend you on all of your work and with your work with Movespot and entrepreneurship and just everything. I think it's really cool.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, and it's great that we have a good relationship too. Just as I mentioned, like even when we went to Elka together, just those days walking to the mail room, just talking like every day. We just went to get the mail and just passed it out to different classes, and we just having conversations every day as young freshmen, and we're talking about doing these astronomical things that we didn't even know how we were going to do, and now we're bringing it to life. So it's just great to see everything, and you already know whatever you're doing, I'm behind it. Supporting it
Yes,
for
sir.
sure.
Yes, sir. Keep grinding and doing your thing, bro. You're doing a lot of good things, and just got to keep at it. I appreciate you for joining me on the show.
Always, bro. You already know. I appreciate you having me on. Keep going, bro. Hey, BJT shows, Sports Center, hit them up right now, man. It's on the way. I'm telling you. Keep working, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Same. Y'all be sure to check out Carl's social medias. Those will be in the description box. And also check out Movespot app at Movespot app on Twitter and on Instagram. Check them out. Follow me on my social medias, which will be in the description box as well at BJT underscore era. And that's that. Hope you have a good one. And peace out.
All right, peace out, bro. You have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.